Hello and welcome to my channel. This video is a collaboration with June's Sunshine Crafts for Lupus Awareness using the colour purple and butterflies. In order to make my mobile, I need to make a ring to hang it from. So this is just a bangle mould. And I've got some craft resin which I've mixed up here. I've just heated it up because it's really cold here at the moment. And I've got a few micro bubbles left in there that will degas over time. I'm going to use some Arteza Iris Purple Mica Powder. Just take the lid off that. Put some mica in there. Just mix that around, see how that goes. How much colour I get, so I can add a bit more if I need. Get that off my stick. Put it against the side of your cup. You'll see how deep the colour is, but don't forget it's going to be you're going to have layers much deeper depth of pour, so the colour will build on itself. So I think that's going to be okay. I would like some translucency, not too much. Maybe I will put a tiny bit more because I've just realised I am going to put some screw hooks in, and I don't really want those to show. So if I put a little bit more in, make it a bit more opaque, and I think that's probably okay. Right, let me just put the lid on this so I don't knock it flying. And then I just need to pour this into the bangle mould. So that's about half full at the moment. I'm just going to take my stick and run it along the inside, and it pushes the resin up against this edge because this curls over slightly, this mould. So I'm just sort of priming it in the hope that when the resin does get to that level, it won't leave too many bubbles. The bubbles won't stick because the surface will have already been lubricated, if you like. Right, let's pour the rest of that in. I can see a few bubbles that are being pushed out. There's some more bubbles here, so I think that needs a little bit more. Might have to help those bubbles. I think that's probably enough. So I'm just going to take just a micro brush stick and gently try and encourage those bubbles to come out from underneath this ledge. I'll just run it along the the inside. I think that's actually pretty good. Might just need another couple of drops. Okay, let that level out. And then I just need to leave this now to set. I think there might be something on the surface of that mould rather than a bubble. Okay, so I'm going to leave this now to cure, and once it is, I'll come back for the demould. I got my butterflies from Canva. I opened a document that was an A4 size, and then I searched for butterflies. I have the paid for account, so once I found the butterflies I want, I dragged them onto my canvas and filled up 3 pages. Then I exported those documents and I took them into Cricut Design Space in order to print them out as a print and cut. I printed them out once on a transparent acetate sheet for overhead projectors, and I did not bother cutting that out, just printed it. I then printed exactly the same onto a white vinyl sticker sheet, and this I did cut using my Cricut. Okay, so for Lupus Awareness, their website, I had a check. I didn't really know much about lupus at all, other than that it's an autoimmune disease and it affects people in different ways. It's characterized by a rash and joint pain and a host of problems. What they're asking you to do is to raise money is a 31-mile walk broken down into either 31 times a mile or any multiple that will make up a 31-mile walk. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to do 31 butterflies. So I've printed them out here, and I've printed them twice, once on acetate and once on sticker paper. They are in exactly the same direction. I did not flip them, and I used my Cricut program to print these out, and then I used the Cricut to cut the stickers out. I haven't cut out the acetate at the moment. So as you can see, this is a direct copy of this. This is the print side up. Now I'm going to take my sticker butterfly, the one that corresponds, and I'm going to try and peel it off my sticker paper. And I'm carefully going to try and put it on top of my butterfly here. And just try and get it lined up as best I can. I could put it down on parchment paper, shown that trick before. Right, so I've stuck my butterfly down. So now I have a solid butterfly, and if I turn it over, I've still got the image on the back, so you now have a double-sided butterfly. So I am going to do the same with all of these butterflies, and then I'm going to cut them out. And I am going to cut them out by hand. You could get the Cricut to do it. Hopefully you will have lined up the butterflies well enough, but you'll be cutting through a double thickness, and it's not easy to know what settings to use. To be honest with you, it isn't a hassle for me to cut them out. I quite enjoy fussy cutting. If you didn't, you can risk doing the other way. So let me carry on doing my butterflies, sticking them down, and I thought I would just demonstrate the technique for using the parchment paper. So I've just taken a piece of baking parchment, and I will take the butterfly that I want to stick down, peel it off, and I'm going to lay it down on my parchment with part of the wings, usually the top part, hanging over the edge. There's a little bit of stuck in there. Now I can lift the top part of the wings that aren't on the parchment up, but I can see through the parchment to line up most of the body. And when I'm happy that it is lined up, I push the top part of the wings down, and then I can hinge up and pull the parchment out, and the rest of it falls into place, and you have perfect placement. Hope you could see that. I'll zoom in and do another one. Let's do this one here. So I peel it off my sheet as carefully as I can. Oh, I've torn the wing. That's not a problem, don't worry about that. There we go. I'm going to stick that on there, and I will line up the butterfly, hold it steady, put the top down, peel this back and lay that flat, and I can do exactly the same with this little piece here. So get it into position and just look for my I'm lining it up, pushing it flat, pull back the hinge, and it's in place. Okay, so I've got all my butterflies cut out, and they do have the acetate on one side, and then they've got the vinyl sticker on the other. I have not sealed this vinyl sticker. I used a Workforce 2010, an Epson Workforce 2010 computer printer, and it has genuine inks in it. Those inks are called pen and crossword, so they are smudge resistant and highlighter proof, waterproof to a certain degree. The paper is, well, it's not paper, it's vinyl. The sticker was vinyl, so I did not need to seal this. And the reason that you seal paper is literally because paper will absorb the resin and it will soak in and change the colour. Vinyl does not. Vinyl is a plastic, so it does not soak in the resin. So you can just coat this without actually giving it any kind of spray with vinyl, with varnish or glue or anything like that. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of UV resin and some glitter, and then we're going to go ahead and coat this. Okay, so this is just it's a silicone mould that I made. Excuse me. And I'm just going to use this now to place all the butterflies that I managed to cut out. So you can see they are double-sided now, and I have a shiny side. That's the back of the what do you call it? Oh my goodness, what is it called? Brain fog at work. The back of the acetate, the overhead transfer paper, and this side is matte, and this is the vinyl sticker. So why do I use a vinyl sticker? I want an opaque butterfly, but I do want the image on both sides. So by printing onto the transfer paper, that shines through, not the transfer paper, the acetate. By printing onto the acetate, that shines through, and the white sticker will give you the opaque look that you're looking for. Okay, so on the vinyl side, the matte side, I'm going to use some Dazzling glitter, Dazzling Diamonds this one is. This is from Stampin' Up, but there are lots of other varieties. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that into some UV resin. I'm still using this UV resin. And I'm going to mix that up in a little cup, and then I am going to put a coat over the top of this butterfly. So just let me get my PPE on and make sure that there's no light coming through my window that's to the left of me, and then I can go ahead and make up the UV resin. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of my resin into the bottom of the pot. I'm not going to give too much, I'll just keep topping it up as I need it. As you can see, the glitter is going everywhere. This stuff absolutely takes over. That might even be enough. Holy moly. Okay, let me mix it up. There's just a tiny sparkle in there. Okay, now making sure that the vinyl side is up. I'm just going to move in a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to put some of the resin on top. And I've just got a silicone tool, I'm just going to spread that out. I'm trying to be careful not to go over the edges. Okay, just give it a little bit more. I'm just tapping some of the glitter off of the lid. I'm just going to let that sit for a second or so that it levels out and gets rid of any of my brush marks. And then I'm going to cure it with my lamp. Okay, that's finished. And there you can see. Now, I don't know if you noticed that the butterfly's curled up. That's because the UV resin has shrunk a little bit and it's pulled this forward. That's absolutely fine. It actually gives the butterflies a little bit more motion, so I'm really happy with that. So there's just enough glitter there. I don't know if you can see because the light is pretty bad. But anyway, I'm going to carry on doing the same to the rest of these. The good thing about using this silicone mould, I'm just using the back of it, is that the acetate sticks pretty good to it. So that allows me to now coat this without this sliding around. And I need to remember to mix my resin before I go to put it on, because the glitter does settle down to the bottom. So I've just mixed it a little bit, and I'm putting a drop on and I'm spreading it around. Now I'm going to just do half of this butterfly at the moment. I'm just spreading it around. I'm only going up to the middle. I have got one little drop on the other side. That's okay. Just try and be careful. I don't want too much on here. Just a nice even coat. You can see you've got a nice little glitter without it overwhelming. I've learnt that less is more when it comes to glitter. Okay, that's half the butterfly. So I'm going to peel that off and just move my table down here. I've got a few here that I've already done. So I'm going to cure all of those together. Move my pot out of the way. And then I'm going to glitter the other half of the butterfly. I'll be back for that in a minute. Okay, so they're back. I'm back rather, and they're done. So now the half of that is done. So I'm just going to put a fold now in this, and I'm going to pinch it pretty strongly. And now I can resin this half of the wing, and I will set that. So don't forget to stir my glitter up again, and then I will resin this half of the wing. So I'm just spreading the glitter out to the edges, trying to get as even a coat as I can. And then if I crouch down, I can see the light reflected in the surface, and that allows me to find out whether I've covered it all. I can also see I've got a few bubbles there. And I need to just go to the edge up there. So I'm just going to now peel that off, and I'll let that sit there for a few seconds. That should give the bubbles time to pop, and if they don't, I can move them out the way, and then I can cure that. In the meantime, I'm going to do another one, but I'm not going to show you that. It's the same for all of them. I'll be back when I've done them all. Okay, I've just got my last two butterflies to cure. I've got a little bit of resin left, so I'm just filling this indent on the top of my bangle. Just dropping some of the glitter UV resin in the dip. I'm trying to keep it only in the dip. I don't put it too much, but I do want it to dome a little bit. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm just going to cure that now. Okay, so that's cured, and I've got my butterflies. They're all done. You can see they are glittery, and some are folded, some are straight with a slight curve in them. And I'm going to use some, you could use fishing wire, which would be invisible, but I find that doesn't really bend properly. It's a little bit stiffer than I want. This is very, very flexible, and although you can see it, it's not really going to matter. So this is just for beading. I don't even know what it is, maybe like a waxed cotton or something, or a nylon thread, I don't know. It doesn't have any labels on it. Anyway, I'm going to take a piece. This piece is about 19-20 inches long, maybe, which is maybe 50 centimeters. My ruler only goes up to 45, so anyway, I'm going to take a roughly 5 inches, which is about 13 centimeters, and I'm just letting that hang on this side, and then I'm doubling it over so that I have got a loop. Hope you can see that. And then I'm going to tie a knot in that loop, pass that through, and snug that down. I'm really useless at knots, but there you go. I've got a little knot there now, so I've got a loop and I've got some string hanging underneath of it. So I'm going to lay that down there. Now I need to take another, let me just put that over there for a second, about 16 inches, and I want 4 pieces at that length. Just get some scissors. So I'm going to measure 4 pieces at 16 inches. In centimeters, that is just about there. It's about, I think it's about 41 and maybe 42. Yeah, almost 42 inches, 42 centimeters. So 16 inches, 42 centimeters. Roughly. It doesn't have to be exact. And if you want it shorter, make it shorter. But I've got 31 butterflies which I need to string. So okay, so I've cut 4 pieces and I've gathered them together so that I've got all 4 ends together here. And now I'm going to take my loop and I will hold that together with my loop hanging down amongst all my threads, and I'm going to tie a knot in all of those. Give yourself a little bit of room. Ooh. Try and catch all of the threads and pull them all through, including you. Come on. And then snug that up. So now I have a loop and I have my strings underneath, and they look particularly raggy. That's fine. I'm just going to organise that now. Right, so now to the beads that I made with the leftover resin. I didn't show that, I just had a bead mould. If you don't have a bead mould, then you can always buy some beads, or don't even put them on at all, it's up to you. I'm just passing the end of the loop through the bead and snugging that up now. Just going to pull my knot through there. And okay, so now I've got my bead on, I'm going to grab hold of all of the long strings and pull those to one side, and all the little ones, apart from the one that was on the bottom of the loop, but all the other little ones, oops, come on, I'm just going to snip those off. So there is one more, and that is the one that is on the loop, and I'll do all that in a minute. But before I do that, I just want to pull that through. So my knot is through there. This is, I've just heated up a glue gun, so I'm just going to put a bit of glue, if this is, yeah, ready, just a tiny dab of glue, and I'm going to pull that in and smooth that out. That will hold my bead on, and it will hold my strings. Tidy them up. Just give that a minute. And then I can snip off the rest of the clumps. And I've got my little tiny bit that was on the bottom of my loop, so I'm just going to snip that as well. So now I should have 5 long strings, well, one slightly shorter than the other, that's the centerpiece, and 4 other long ones, and then at the top a loop. Right, let me just clear some of these things out of the way. So I'm going to pass that through my through my ring, and this is actually easier done if you can hang it up. And I don't know where I can hang it up at the moment that you can see it, so I shall show you what I intend to do. Let's find the center one first. So the center one is the one with the knot on it, and it's the smallest one, so I'm going to hook that out, but I'm going to pass all the other ones through my loop, through my bangle. So now I will take one of them, and I'm going to wrap it around, oops, all the way around my bangle. And it's so knotty. I think you probably want about, what would you say that was, 2-3 inches above the bangle, and I'm just holding that tight, and I'm going to take my UV glue, whoops, a daisy, my UV resin, and I'm putting a tiny dot on the bottom, and then I will cure that in place. And that will hold my string in place. I'm sorry, I think I'm losing my voice. Excuse my husky throat. Okay, that's set in place. So you want to take another string now, not the one with the loop knot in it, that still needs to go in the centre. You want one opposite it, and this time I'm going to go around the outside and come in, and you want to try and make the same amount on each side, so that the center point, so that the bead will be in the center and it will hang in the center. As I say, if you can do this while it's hanging, it's much easier, but obviously I can't do that and film it. So once you've got that in place, hold your string, and again pop another dot of, and try and get it opposite the one that you've just done. And undo my bottle here, and again another dot of the UV, and cure that in place too. Okay, that's done. So now I've got 2. So again, I need to find another one that is not the center loop, and I'm going to go from the outside, wind it round the bangle, sorry, I know it looks a little bit like a tangled mess at the moment. So again, holding that, oops, central, as centered as you can. So I've only got 2 around here at the moment. Make sure that that is pretty much in the middle, then you'll know how much thread you've got to maneuver around. And I want this to be, if you're imagining a clock face, we've got one at 12, one at 6, and I need this one to be at 3 o'clock, or at least halfway between them. Hold that in place and again cure it. And I should have gloves on, but it's really difficult to hold these strings without gloves on. And I'm doing this quickly, and as soon as this has got a grip, I'm removing my hands from underneath the UV light. So again, just give this a chance to have a grip, and it doesn't take long, 10 seconds or so, 20 seconds, and then I can take my hand away and just let it finish curing. Okay, that's hanging now, and I have 5 strings hanging underneath, 4 around the outside and 1 down the middle. So now I can start adding the butterflies, and I'm going to add a butterfly to the middle first. So let me see if I can get all of those out of the way so it's not confusing. Now I don't want to put too big of a butterfly in the middle, at least not at the top anyway. So here are some of my butterflies, and I am going to put some UV resin in and hold the butterfly, or hold the string across the UV resin. Let's see if I can get that in the middle for you. So I'm just going to put a small blob, oops, everything's sticking to my gloves, a small blob on the center of the butterfly, and I'm laying string in the middle and setting it in place. And I'm going to be doing that to all of the butterflies and spacing them out along the strings. Okay, so I've got one set in place. I'm just going to put this yellow one on the bottom. So again, I don't want too big of a blob, just enough for it to bond. So I'm going to hold that in place and cure that too. Okay, so this is still the center string, and I have 2 butterflies on there now. The string's passing through the other side, so now I'm going to put a butterfly on this side, and I'm just going to pick one. I want to try and find a smallish one. There you go. So this one is going to go in here. So again, take the lid off, just a blob in the middle, and hold the string in place. And cure that, and that's really all I'm going to do to all of the strings. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because it's very difficult for me to show you anything else. I'm not doing anything different, so I will show you some pictures of when it's complete. Oh, the only thing I can add is that it's a good idea to keep lifting it up as you're putting the butterflies on so that you can see where they're falling and how they're arranging. But other than that, I'll go ahead and finish this and I'll show you the pictures in the end.